Yo, yo, yo. This week on the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, Caitlin Clark's injury. What does it mean for the WNBA? The X-Factor Sportz MLB Power Rankings are this week. And starting tomorrow is the NBA Finals. I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win it and why. So keep it locked right here. Episode 87 of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast starts right now. Welcome to the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. This is your boy, Jay Mondaine. We are in Season 8, Episode 3. Want to thank y'all for tuning in tonight. Every Wednesday night, we are on YouTube and everywhere you can listen to podcasts, catch the audio every week, catch up to all 87 episodes of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube Music, anywhere you can listen to podcasts. You can catch the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, real talk, unbiased takes. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the layup lines, and we're going to kick it off real quick with the NBA. All right, so Tom Thibodeau got fired yesterday, the Knicks coach, right? This is the same coach that just got his team to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in damn near 30 years, okay? The same coach that had back-to-back 50-win seasons for the Knicks for the first time in over 30 years. This guy, Tom Thibodeau, got fired for reasons unbeknownst to me. I think it was a dumb firing. I'm going to just get right to it with y'all tonight. We're not playing around. I think the firing was dumb. I don't know who the Knicks think they are or what type of organization they think they are, that they can fire a coach as good as Tom Thibodeau has been to the Knicks, made it to the playoffs 4 out of the last 5 years he's been there. All while the front office has been trading away draft picks from Mikal Bridges. They done traded 1 million picks to get Mikal Bridges, right? Let go of some of their hard-nosed players, Dante DiVincenzo, Julius Randle. Let them go. And with all of the chaos that's going on in the front office, Tibbs was still able to get them to a conference final, something that none of the other coaches could have done that had been coaching the Knicks prior to Tibbs. Phil Jackson didn't do it, right? Derek Fisher didn't do it. If we go all the way back there, a lot of these coaches weren't able to do what Tibbs did, and they let him go. So the reason they lost in the final has very little to do with Tibbs. He did what he could with the players he had, but it's plain and simple. It was on the basketball court why they lost, all right? So Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton outplayed Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. Simple as that. That's why they lost the series. They had no excuse this year. Nobody was hurt. They lost games in the Garden. So they had every chance in the world to get this series. They beat the Knicks. They beat the Celtics. The Knicks did. They built their team. They had a singular focus to beat one team. And then when they got to the Pacers, I wouldn't even say Tibbs got out-coached. There were some adjustments that could have been made, but overall, you don't fire a coach that gets you to the playoffs 4 out of the last 5 years. Back-to-back 50-win seasons, a conference final appearance when the Knicks did nothing for 30 years. So to fire him like the New York Knicks organization is the San Antonio Spurs is ridiculous to me. So that's why I think they let him go. They needed a scapegoat. It wasn't his fault. The 2 best players on Indiana outplayed the 2 best players on the Knicks. Simple as that. So with that being said, though, this job, now that there's a vacancy in New York, is Mike Malone's job if he wants it. It's pretty simple, right? He's from New York. He's from New York State. I think he's from Albany. And he's an NBA championship coach. He coached the best player in the league for the last 10 years, Nikola Jokic. Not saying Nikola Jokic is the best player for a decade, but I'm saying he coached him his entire career. And with that, Nikola Jokic won 3 MVPs, an NBA title, Finals MVP, all of these things, all these accolades. I don't think he'd be afraid of the bright lights in New York. Like I said, he's from New York, probably grew up a Knicks fan. Father was a coach, Michael Malone's father was a head coach. So there's a lot of things intertwined in there. It'd be a smart move by the Knicks. If you're going to let go of Tibbs, you have to go upward. You can't go lateral or down. So get a championship level coach. And I think that's part of the reason why they let him go. And you won't hear this on other TV channels or networks, but I think they let him go because they saw an opportunity to get Michael Malone. And if the Knicks aren't going to the finals, now you have a backdoor excuse to get Tibbs out. So that's what I think. This is Michael Malone's job to accept. And we'll see in the upcoming days what happens with that. I think they move quick and get Michael Malone in there. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that. All right, to NHL. So we got the Stanley Cup final starting tonight. We got a rematch from last year, Florida Panthers against the Edmonton Oilers. The difference this year, though, Edmonton has the home ice, right? So 4 out of the 7 games will be in Edmonton. I think this is Connor McDavid's time. I'm picking the Edmonton Oilers to win a Stanley Cup. In the next couple of days, it'll probably be announced that Connor McDavid, the best player in hockey, will win the Conn Smythe Award again, back-to-back years. That is the NHL's MVP award. For those who don't know, that's the Conn Smythe Award. So Connor McDavid will win that, and he will win a Stanley Cup title this year to cement his legacy. He's been with the Oilers for 10 years now. He played up in Toronto, where he's from, up in Canada, professionally, came down here as an elite hockey player and a phenom, kind of like Sidney Crosby, and Connor McDavid is one of those of that ilk. But to cement that, like Connor, like Alexander Ovechkin, like Sidney Crosby with Pittsburgh, in order to cement the legacy, in order to be considered a great, and playing in Edmonton, where the great one played and won Stanley Cups, Wayne Gretzky, he has to get a Stanley Cup. And I think this is the year he finally gets it done. So I'm picking the Oilers to redeem themselves against Florida and win the Stanley Cup. And it's starting tonight. It's actually, game 1 is on as we speak. So y'all can check that out after the show, of course. And then the last thing on the quick news, the NFL. All right. You know, we always got to sprinkle a little NFL in there. So this was for Saquon Barkley. The Madden 26 cover is out. The dopest Madden cover that I've ever seen, that we've ever seen since they've been doing Madden covers, right? The very first one, I think, was 2001. It was Eddie George. I'm dating myself. But Eddie George was the first one, I believe, because before that, it was just John Madden on the front cover. But Eddie George is the first player. And look at how the cover has evolved. This is when Saquon did the spin move and the backwards leap live in game. They captured that moment, put it on the cover. Offensive Player of the Year, Super Bowl champion Saquon Barkley gets the Madden cover. Now, will he leap over the Madden curse, or will he have a down year? I'm banking on him having a great season again. The way he takes care of his body, the way he's motivated, I think that he's in a great situation. He's behind a great offensive line. They don't have to pound the ball as much to him. He doesn't have to run the ball 35 times a game to preserve his body. So I'm banking on him having a good year. I don't believe the Madden curse like that. I think it was broken a few years back. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, you know, they won MVPs after the fact. So I think that curse is long gone. Mahomes. So cheers to a new year, and congrats to Saquon Barkley for getting on that Madden cover. So that's what's up. All right. So if you like the X-Factor Sports Podcast, if you love the X-Factor Sports Podcast, always be sure to like, share, subscribe. Always be sure to give us a thumbs up. Always be sure to love the show. Give us all of the comments in the world. And we're on YouTube every Wednesday night. All right. So let's get into it. Caitlin Clark, Now, she pulled her calf last week, and she is expected to be out for another 2 weeks. Okay. The Indiana Fever, I think they won yesterday against Washington. The Commissioner Cup games are starting. They got Chicago Sky in a couple days. So they won one game since Caitlin Clark got injured. So obviously, Caitlin Clark being out is devastating. But I want to talk about what this means for the WNBA from a business standpoint, right? She is the biggest draw in the WNBA. Everybody knows that. The Indiana Fever fill the seats. If you want to go online, you can look at the numbers. They don't lie. They get over 16,000 fans at their games, which is double anybody in second place. The second place team does not get twice as many fans in the stands as the Indiana Fever. And that's because of the Caitlin Clark effect. With her being out, immediately ticket sales went down. So what that tells me is two things. One, the obvious thing that Caitlin Clark obviously is the draw for the NBA, or WNBA. She's brought in a ton of fans, and for good reason. She's a great player. She plays with a certain flair, a certain style, shoots the ball from deep. She's got handle. Like, she plays a Steph Curry type of game, which is entertainment, because the WNBA game is not about athleticism per se. You're not going to see high flying. You're not going to see people getting dunked on like the NBA. You're going to see more skill, ball handling, shooting, passing, and she brings all of that to the table. So, like I was talking about with the Chicago Sky, they're going to play them often this year, same division, Indiana and Chicago, real close. They play on June 16th, and that game was scheduled to be in the United Center where the Bulls play. So to give you an idea of the effect a Caitlin Clark has, but the ticket sales dropped 71% once they found out she was hurt, because they're not expecting her to be in that game or be back for that game. So that just tells you how much effect Caitlin Clark has on the league. The ratings have went down a little bit. So the number one thing I've noticed is the draw that she brings to the game. The adverse effect of that is this is a big glaring sign on the WNBA that they do not market their superstars well enough. Okay? One player getting hurt should not damage your league, especially a second-year player. Will this hurt her chances for MVP? Will this hurt the Indiana Fever's chances of a playoff push, depending on how many games she misses? Maybe. But it shouldn't damage your league, right? So you have Breanna Stewart, arguably one of the best players in the league in the Eastern Conference, just won an NBA title, a WNBA title, another one, because she won in Seattle with Sue Bird. And now she's won another WNBA title in New York City, the biggest media market in the world. How is she not getting marketed as one of the top players? Sabrina Ionescu, another player on that team. How are they not being marketed as the best dynamic duo or one of the best dynamic duos in basketball? On the West Coast, you have, again, arguably the best player in the world in A'ja Wilson. She's a back-to-back WNBA champ, multiple MVPs, and they're in Vegas. So how are these players not marketed as much as a Caitlin Clark is? They've been dominating and winning in the WNBA for years before she came. This isn't a slight at Caitlin Clark for what she's done to push the league forward. This is a knock on the WNBA as an organization, because you have great players in your league and you don't push them to the forefront like you should have been doing. It's an easy solution, at least I think so. You take on the same blueprint that the NBA took on in the 80s and 90s, right? Magic and Bird, they brought the NBA in the 80s, they brought the NBA out of tape delay. NBA Finals games used to be taped, and you have to go and watch them at 10 o'clock at night, even though the games were played at 4 or 5 in the afternoon. The players back then used to say, I can play in the game and go home and watch my game on TV because it was tape delayed. Magic and Bird pushed the NBA to live TV. And then with the help of David Stern, the commissioner, MJ comes along and they push the game globally, right? So it's not an accident that the silhouette of Jerry West is the logo of the NBA because they are marketing. It's a players' league. We're going to market our players. I think the WNBA needs to adopt that same motto. We're the best league in the world. They need to own that. They need to be confident about it. If you want your women to play here, if you want your women in the best league, they have to play in the WNBA. We have the best players. We have the Caitlin Clarks. We have the Asia Wilsons, Olympic gold medalists. We had the great Sue Birds. We had the great Diana Taurasi, arguably the greatest WNBA player of all time, the all-time leading scorer in WNBA history, just retired. Like those things need to be celebrated. The history of the game, right? You know, Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper, like bring Tina Thompson, bring these women back into the fold for the WNBA, the history of it. I know the Houston Comets franchise doesn't exist anymore, but that ain't no reason to not have these players in the forefront. They're the pillars, the pioneers of the league, and people barely hear about them. The NBA does a great job of bringing back their stars from yesteryear with the 50 greatest players in the 50th anniversary. 75 was a few years ago. You see the Knicks games in the playoffs. All the former Knicks alumni come back like it's college. The Pacers started doing it because they had a bunch of Indiana Pacers players come back. Like WNBA needs to put their arms around the veterans and the older players that played back in the day when the league got started. And I think that will give some juice to the league. Instead of putting it on the shoulders of one player, because if and when a player gets hurt, now the whole league suffers. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Are we leaning too much of this league on one or two players, trying to drum up rivalry? Or should they follow the NBA model and embrace the history and also promote their league as the best league in the world for women? That's how I think. Put comments below. Let me know what y'all think about that. If you think the WNBA needs to do a better job of promoting the league, or if you like it the way it is. Okay. Again, you can always tune in to the X-Factor Sportz Podcast on YouTube every Wednesday if you want to watch. But if you want to listen, anywhere that you can listen to podcasts, any platform, you can catch the X-Factor Sportz Podcast every week. Real talk, unbiased takes. Okay. So we're going to switch gears to this. Major League Baseball is in full effect. We're a quarter of the way through the season. We got to do a power ranking, of course, before All-Star comes in July. So let's go ahead and get our first iteration of the X-Factor MLB power rankings going right now, okay? So at number 10, we got – now this thing, I was kind of nervous about putting them on the list, but they have been playing well as of late, and it's a power ranking, so it's got to be some recency to it, how the teams are playing right now. So this isn't about wins and losses. It's about how teams are getting down. So at number 10, St. Louis Cardinals have been playing some good baseball, all right? They won 6 out of their last 10 games. Like I said, we talk about recency. They got a kid, Brendan Donovan, one of the best young players in Major League Baseball. I think he was 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting last year, and will probably be an all-star this year. So keep an eye out for Brendan Donovan. They're on track to do some big things. At number 9, Seattle Mariners. All right, so they're battling for the number 1 seed in the American League West right now. And Cole Young, another bright young player that they got over there, he was batting 370 in AAA. They moved him up. And so we'll see if the Seattle Mariners can stay in first place in the West. It seems like every week they jockeying for position with the Houston Astros. So we'll see if they can keep that going. At number 8, we got the Giants. All right. They have a plus 41 point differential in Major League Baseball. It's tied for 6th in the entire league, so have to show them some love. They slid a little bit in 4th place in the National League record-wise, but still one of the best teams in baseball, even though they lost a few games, okay? And number 7, San Diego Padres, right behind them, or right up ahead of them, I should say. 7 of their last 10 games they've won, and they are, I think it just changed yesterday, they are maybe a game behind the Dodgers. So they've been playing some good baseball. It's fun games to watch. San Diego Padres games always have been fun, so you got to check them out. But again, 7 of their last 10 games they've won, and they're keeping pace with the Dodgers in the division. Number 6, you got the Phillies. They are currently on a 4-game losing streak. Hopefully they can turn that around. But even with that, they still only a game and a half behind the Mets. So it just tells you how good they've been consistent all year. 7th in runs scored and tied for 4th in wins throughout the entire league. So that's the Phillies at number 6. Number 5, got the New York Yankees. All right. And this is the team that's tied with the Phillies as the 4th best record in baseball. Number 1 in the AL East. And Aaron Judge is having another monster year. This dude's batting 390, 391. So still first in their division. They're number 1 in baseball in point differential. Aaron Judge batting 391. And it's June. So some consistency there. He having another monster year. No Juan Soto, no problem. All right. And at number 4, Chicago Cubs. Can't believe I'm saying it, but got to be real, got to be unbiased. Chicago Cubs, they actually doing their thing this year, so congrats to them. 8 out of the last 10 games they've won. So with that, they are number 1 in NL Central, 2nd in Major League Baseball in point differential, 1st in their division, and 3rd in total wins in Major League Baseball. So again, I told y'all last episode, I thought the Cubs were just having a good month, a good May, a good April. It's starting to show some consistency. We're a quarter of the way through the season, and they look strong. They look like the team that's probably going to win the Central. Who knows? But right now they look really good. 3rd in total wins in Major League Baseball, Chicago Cubs. At number 4. Number 3, the Mets, all right, that team from Queens, Citi Field. If you watch baseball, check out a Mets game when they're playing in New York. I don't know if it's a lot of juice because the Knicks are in the playoffs. The New York Liberty won the WNBA championship. I don't know what it is. But when you watch Mets games at home, those games look they look so damn fun. All right. The fans are going crazy. A lot of people are rooting for the Mets to do well, and they are delivering, especially at home. They're 24-7 at the crib, best record in baseball. They have the best record that they've had at home at this point of the season since 1986. And for my older viewers who remember the 86 Mets team, Darryl Strawberry, Doc Gibson, the amazing Mets, they are on that trend. I'm not saying they're going to win a World Series. I'm just saying at this point, they're doing the same thing that team did 40 years ago. So we'll see if history can come back for them. Won 8 out of their last 10 games too. At number 2, LA Dodgers, the team the Yankees can't beat. I should have just said it like that. All right. Still the Kings of the National League West. They will probably win that division. We predicted that last season. And even with losing 5 out of their last 10 games, they still have the 3rd highest point differential in baseball. So it just tells you how good this team is. They're doing all this with Mookie Betts being hurt with a fractured toe. He is expected to be back soon. And they are 1st in runs scored because of that kid Shohei Ohtani, right? Mr. 700 million, still doing his thing. So you got Mookie Betts coming back soon. You got Shohei Ohtani is starting to practice against live bodies, and they're still number 1 in runs scored. So here come the Dodgers. But right now, at number 1, even in my division, the White Sox division, despite the White Sox beating them 8-1 yesterday, they are the best team in baseball, right? They've been consistent all the way through, dominant pitching on most nights when they got their aces in. They're number one in point differential, number one in wins, the best team in the AL Central. They can beat you a multitude of ways. They can slug it out with you. It can be a pitch fest. They can win 1-0. They can win 10-2. Either way it goes, the Detroit Tigers have been the best baseball team this season. They're still on pace to win over 100 games. So the Mets look like the 86 Mets, and Detroit looks like the 84 Tigers when they won the World Series. So a lot of things going on early in the season. It's still early June, but here are the first iteration of the X-Factor Sportz Power Rankings this year. We got the St. Louis Cardinals at 10. We got the Mariners at 9. Both of those teams have some young up-and-coming stars. Number 8, the Giants. We got number 7, the San Diego Padres. At number 6, the Phillies, right? Still one of the best teams in baseball when it comes to wins. They're in the top 5 in wins, tied with the Yankees in wins. At number 5, Aaron Judge, looking to be an AL MVP once again, batting almost 400. At number 4, the Chicago Cubs doing their thing in the National League Central. Then you got the Mets at 3, looking like the old school Mets. Number 2, the LA Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts on his way back. And at number 1, the Detroit Tigers. If you like the list, comment for it. Let me know what you think. Give me your list if you think I need to switch it up. If you got a team that maybe should crack the top 10, let me know. But like I said, this is the first quarter of the season, and we're doing the power rankings. The next power rankings will come after the 4th of July, and we'll see where these teams land. And then the next one will come after Labor Day. We always do them after big holidays because that's kind of the points of the season where we want to tap in and see what's going on in Major League Baseball as a whole. All right. The X-Factor Sportz Podcast is on YouTube and Rumble every Wednesday. Sorry, we're not on Rumble. I apologize. We used to be on Rumble. We are exclusively on YouTube every Wednesday night and then on all audio platforms. So be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow. Okay. Now, we're going to get back to the NBA, of course. We got the NBA Finals starting tomorrow. So, I had to jump on and let y'all know how I feel about the NBA Finals and who I think is going to win it and why. Okay? So, we got the Indiana Pacers going up against the OKC Thunder. Now, all week, I'm hearing about how this is going to be a boring final. Nobody wants to see these two teams, blah, 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 blah. I had to kill all that noise. I think this is going to be an exciting NBA final for a number of reasons. For number one, if you're a fan of basketball, you should be excited about this final, okay? And the reason I say that is because you have all-stars on both teams. You have up-and-coming players, up-and-coming superstars in Tyrese Halliburton and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You have a championship coach on one side against an up-and-coming coach on another side. So you want to see that coaching battle. Styles make fights. So you want to see the Pacers up and down, pushing the pace of the game, trying to get extra possessions against a defensive juggernaut in OKC. You want to see how that plays out. Both stadiums are going to have like a college atmosphere. The fans are great. These are two great basketball cities in Indianapolis and Oklahoma City. So you definitely want to see all of those games in those arenas. So I think there's a lot to be excited about if you're just a genuine basketball fan, right? You're not seeing the same players every year get to the finals. We get to see some new blood. And it's been that way over the last 6 or 7 years. We've had a new NBA champion. So this year we'll crown another one. I think it's exciting. You're bringing in more casual fans. You're bringing in more markets into the NBA. When's the last time we had Indiana Pacers fans cheering this late in the season, Oklahoma City fans, right? So I think it's exciting stuff. Now, the history of the NBA, you got that on the line as well. The Indiana Pacers have never won an NBA championship in their city. the Oklahoma City Thunder have never won a title in their city. So that's something great. So that's going to happen, that one of these cities will, for the first time, get a parade for NBA championship. Now, the Oklahoma City Thunder franchise, Seattle Supersonics, won in 1979, but they've never won it in this city before. They've gotten to a final in 2012 and didn't win. The Pacers went to the finals in 2000, lost to Shaq and Kobe. So now they're back. So we'll see who wins an NBA title for those cities. So that's why I think it'll be exciting. Now, who wins the series is a totally different story, right? Who wins the series? I got the Oklahoma City Thunder winning the NBA championship. I talked about it weeks ago. I picked the Thunder to get to the final. Now I have them winning it all. And there's a multitude of reasons why I think they will win it. One, they've been the best team in basketball wire to wire. Okay, 68 wins in the regular season. They dominated at home. They dominated the Eastern Conference. They're 29-1 in the regular season against the Eastern Conference. In the playoffs, they're 8-1 in the playoffs at home. They have a 29 point per game point differential at home. They have the home court advantage here. They are the more complete team. So that's not to sleep on the Pacers. The Pacers have earned their spot. They earned the right to be in the finals. But you got to look at it this way. The Pacers got to the finals. They beat everybody in the East that was in their way. So they get all the credit in the world. But the teams in the East built and constructed their teams to beat the Boston Celtics. Right? The Knicks did that. The Cavs did that. The Cavs go out and get DeAndre Hunter. The Knicks got OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, traded 1 million draft picks to get Mikal Bridges, strictly to stop Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They needed big, long wings that can defend, 3-and-D guys to match the output of a Jason Tatum and a Jaylen Brown. That's strictly why they did that. But nobody paid attention to the Indiana Pacers. So these teams did not match up well, as you can see, with the Pacers. The way they get up and down the floor, the unorthodox style they play. Tyrese Halliburton can get you 15 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists, or he can get you 30 points, a game winner, and 8 assists and 6 rebounds, 2 steals. Like, you just never know. Pascal Siakam can win the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, right? They have so many different types of ways to win, and that's a credit to them and their coach. But the difference is in this final, when it comes to the OKC Thunder, while the Eastern Conference teams were all built to beat Boston because Boston was the last champion, the Oklahoma City Thunder are built to beat everybody. And that's why I think they will win the NBA championship. They did not construct their team to just beat the Lakers or to just beat the Dallas Mavericks because the Dallas Mavericks went to the finals last year, or the Minnesota Timberwolves because the Timberwolves went to the conference final, or the Denver Nuggets. They constructed their team to beat anybody in any type of style. So I don't think this style will affect them like it did the Eastern Conference teams, because they are athletic at every position. They can defend at every position, and they can score at every position. They play within themselves. They play together. They don't lose at home. You know what I'm saying? So defense travels. So even if they're not making shots, the defense is they're going to pack the defense into the suitcase and take it to Indiana. And at home, they look damn near invincible. So that's what I mean. That's going to be the difference in this series. The Eastern Conference teams were constructed to beat one team. The Oklahoma City Thunder were constructed to beat every team. So y'all tell me what y'all think. Comment below. Who do you have winning the NBA championship? Is it the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Indiana Pacers? Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow the X-Factor Sportz Podcast on all platforms, social media, YouTube, everywhere. Cool. So before we get up out of here, we always do that 2-minute warning. And this week, we're going to talk about not being afraid to be yourself. Jay, what do you mean by that? What I mean by that is when I was younger, I used to try to dress like my brothers. I have 4 older brothers. I used to try to dress like them. I used to try to talk like them, walk like them. I had older cousins. I was the young rut when I was little, right? I didn't have cousins younger than me that grew up around us. I was younger than everybody. So I tried to be like everybody around me that was older. Even basketball, when I started playing basketball, I tried to play basketball like people I looked at or emulated. But people would notice that. And it wasn't comfortable trying to do what other people did or play like other people played. It wasn't until I got comfortable being myself that I got good at those things and that I got confident in those things. So I say all that to say this. The reason that things don't work for you is because you're afraid to be yourself. Once you realize when you look in that mirror that you are comfortable being who you are, that's when you'll start seeing success, right? It sounds easier said than done, but it really isn't. Because how can you expect success for you when you're afraid to be you? You know what I'm saying? So you have to get over that hurdle of trying to please other people and trying to be other people and be yourself. Once I realized that I was able to be comfortable in my own skin and be me, I was able to go out and do things my way at a certain comfort level that I never thought I could have. But I had to find that within. So success comes from within, and pride and all those things come from, they are internal things. You can't expect to get that from other people or other influences. So just think about that when, things aren't going right, or you want things to go a certain way and you want success. Focus on being yourself and be comfortable with yourself. So when you do succeed, when the person that's looking back at you in the mirror is proud of you. All right. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in to the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, Season 8, Episode 3, the 87th episode. Again, if you like the gear, the hoodies, all that, you can catch it on all the social media platforms. You can shoot me a message. Let me know your size, color. We can get everything for you. Or you can scan the QR code below, and it takes you to the X-Factor Sportz store. And you can message and put your size in there in the cart, and I'll get those out to you. So I want to thank everybody again for tuning in. The X-Factor Sportz Podcast, Season 8, Episode 3. Next week, we are on Episode 88. It'll be a special episode. We'll be diving into the NBA Finals. We'll talk more about that, the NHL Final. We'll see what has been happening through these games, and we'll talk about who's going to win, or if we already have a winner, we will dive into that too. Like I said, I got the OKC Thunder winning before the games even start tomorrow. I got Thunder in 5. Let me know what y'all think. Yes, bold prediction, Thunder in 5. It's the X-Factor Sportz Podcast signing out. See y'all next week. Peace.